Most people doing print on demand struggle with picking a niche, and it's usually because they've never actually been told why the niche matters. Now, choosing a niche is not about just choosing the right category or even chasing trends. You need a niche because you are trying to sell to people who are not shopping. That is, if you are selling on Shopify and using social media to drive your traffic. You have to remember that the people seeing your product are not searching for it. They are just scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. At the end of the day, they are not shopping. They are not looking to buy. They are just killing time. So if your product is going to work, it has to interrupt them. It has to stop their scroll. And the only way that that happens is if there's something about your design that makes them feel something. Now, even if you are selling on Etsy, which is something I do not recommend, you are selling in a place where people are actively searching. And it is true that the shops that win still know how to connect emotionally with people that are viewing their items. Nobody on Etsy is buying vague or generic designs. They are buying stuff that feels personal. And that, at the end of the day, is what the niche actually is. It is not just a label. It is actually the tool that you are using to get attention from people who weren't looking. That attention almost always is going to come from one of two things. Either the product is going to tap into a passion, something that they are already obsessed with, or it's going to reflect an identity, which is something that defines who they are. And once you see niches in that way, it's going to change how you think. You're going to stop looking for random ideas and you're going to start asking yourself better questions like, what would make someone stop and say, that is me? That is what this video is all about. I am going to break down for you over the next 5 minutes or so exactly how you should approach your print on demand niche. In doing social media marketing, make sure to check out my POD for Dummies course. And if you are just getting started and you need help building a Shopify store, it is completely free. Inside are over 30 videos showing you how to set up your store and get started with social media marketing. Like I said, it is completely free and there is a link down in the description. Now, let's start with passions. These are going to be things that people are obsessed with. And I'm not talking about stuff that they just like. I'm talking about the things that they live for, the kind of thing that they spend money on, the kind of thing they watch and follow content about on the internet, and things that they talk about all of the time. This store here is called powderaddicts.com, and it is a store that is set up for people that like to go skiing and snowboarding. That is their niche. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you a few other print-on-demand stores that represent great categories of print-on-demand niches with the goal of, like I said before, helping you to actually get to the point where you have a good niche. What I'm not trying to do is tell you that you need to build a store where you focus only on one niche, because ultimately you can create multiple different types of stores. Some will focus on more than one niche and some will focus on just one, like this one here. This is a niche-based store and all of their designs do represent specific niches. We could contrast that with a store like this, where they are selling to more than one niche, but their products do still represent a specific passion, right? You see boating on here, you see hunting on here, and fishing and four-wheeling and farming. These would all be passions that somebody could actually have. The same thing is true with this print-on-demand store here. This one is called PFX Outdoors, and they create products for people that like to go hunting and fishing. There's also some off-roading type products on here as well for people that like to ride four-wheelers or drive recreational vehicles, and ultimately they target a couple of different niches. And again, that's totally fine. The point though is that if you are trying to find a niche, a passion-based niche, like one of the ones I've shown so far, could be a great way for people to look at your product and say, that is me, when they see it. Now, before we go on to identity-based niches where honestly things go even deeper, what I would say is I mentioned my free course earlier, POD for Dummies. Inside of POD for Dummies, I have some videos that will help you to choose what type of store you want to actually create. Meaning, do you want to create a store where there is just a single niche, or do you want to choose a store type where you are selling to more than one niche? Obviously, there could be some differences between the store setup. There could also be some implications when it comes to social media. And inside of the POD for Dummies course, which is completely free, I have some lessons helping you to navigate those decisions. Now, this store here is an identity-based niche. And like I said, these go even deeper because now we're not just talking about something that somebody likes. We're talking about who they actually are. This here is a print-on-demand store called houseofchingasos.com. It is a store for people that are of a Latino or a Hispanic heritage. This here is an identity-based niche store. Essentially, they are playing off of someone's nationality, their heritage, where they are from. In terms of products, they have tons of different apparel options, including bikinis and also some shoes. They also have many different hoodies and shirts as well. And again, they are creating a store based off of an identity-based niche. This store here is also an identity-based niche store, targeting people that have a job as a police officer or a firefighter or even somebody in the military. They also have some nursing products on here as well. Essentially, an identity-based niche is something that represents who someone is as a person. So far, I've given you examples of jobs and even where someone is from. Something like this here is a great way to get people to look at your product and say, that is me. Now that you have seen a couple of examples, let me explain a little bit more about what I said at the beginning, because once you understand this point, picking a niche actually becomes simple. If you are someone that is selling on social media, your number one job is to get people who are not shopping to stop and shop. That's it. That is the whole game. You have to realize that they are not typing anything into a search bar. They are not on Amazon. They are not on Etsy. And even like I said before, even if you are on those platforms, your niche is still important because that's what people are actually searching for. For what I do, and for the majority of you watching who are selling on social media, your customers are just scrolling around. They are watching videos, they're looking at memes, and then suddenly your product is going to show up. And the question that you need to answer with your niche is, how are you going to make them care when they weren't actually looking for something? You have to be able to hit them emotionally, and the two best ways to do that are by targeting passions and identities. Like I said before, passions are things that people get obsessed with. It's stuff they spend money on. It's stuff they talk about all of the time with their family and friends. It's things like skiing or hunting or mountain biking or grilling and barbecuing or gaming or whatever it actually is that they are interested in. You personally don't have to convince them to care. They already do. You're just selling them something that represents who they are. And that is basically also what an identity does. With an identity, you are going deeper. For someone, it could be their job, like being a nurse, a police officer, or even someone in the military, like with the store I showed you today. You could also target some sort of a nationality or a place where they are from. This does not necessarily have to just be a country. It could also be a state here in the United States. You could also target someone based on their role, like being a dad or even a grandparent, because those would definitely be identities as well. And when you hit one of those emotional triggers, people stop scrolling, not because they were shopping, but because your product felt personal to them. At the end of the day, that is why you are choosing a niche. Not to limit yourself, but to actually get people who aren't shopping to give you their attention. If you can understand that, it should be way more easy for you to actually choose a niche. Now, these two t-shirts here obviously do not have a passion or an identity actually present in the design. These are just sarcastic, funny t-shirts that many beginners try to create. The problem with marketing stuff like this on social media is, in most cases, people are just going to scroll by and they're going to click the like button because they're not shopping. We could also look at these leggings here. Again, there's no niche present. There's just basically some abstract geometric shapes. People scrolling by might think that the leggings are nice looking or pretty or cute or whatever other adjective you want to insert, but at the end of the day, they are not shopping and they're likely going to just click the like button on something like this. What you would want to do is actually focus on a passion or an identity, like I said, all video long. If your goal is to get someone who is not shopping interested, that is done by choosing the right niche for that job. Most beginners, when getting started with this, truly begin to get overwhelmed with all of the different options out there. I have seen people make lists of dozens and dozens of different hobbies or activities or skills that people have, and the same for identities. You could likely come up with many examples. The problem is actually choosing one. If you are someone someone that is having trouble narrowing down and actually deciding on a specific niche, one tip I would give you would be to choose something that you are personally interested in. In a lot of cases, if you choose a passion or an identity that you have, you're going to be way more likely to actually put in the effort that you're going to need to make your store successful. It's also going to be more fun for you because you're going to be creating something that you are personally interested in, which at the end of the day is going to be a great help because let's face it, print on demand is a lot of work. And if you are building a store and if you are making designs based on something that you love, you're likely going to put more effort into it. So like I said, hopefully this video was helpful. My main goal was to help you to understand what a niche is and why we are choosing one, so that way you can choose the best niche for you. If you have any questions about niches, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Like I said at the beginning, make sure to check out the POD for Dummies course. It is completely free. There's a link down in the description. Inside are over 30 videos showing you how to build your store, do social media marketing, and a whole bunch more. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.